good morning, afternoon, depending on where you're watching this from. Let me type. I should be able to put a comment, shouldn't I? I'm going live from my phone for the first time, guys. So let's see. What can I do here? Start a question, start a poll. Okay, I can do that. Okay, I wanted a peanut thing. When are you thinking about look relocating? So maybe that poll. Let's see how polls start work. Okay, so how this works? How do I, let's see, what's this? Interesting. Okay. What's this? Oh, interesting. You can have different green screen. What is this? Okay, you can have lighting. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Let me, how do okay, so I did all that. Uh, where do you see comments? Able to, what's this? Start a poll. Okay. Hi guys. Hello. Welcome to the live. How you doing? Let me know. Drop a comment. Are you guys able to comment? Are you able to comment? Let me know. Uh, this is so weird, guys. I never go live this way. And so I'm trying to touch on all these buttons to see how this works. Yeah, let me know. Okay, good. Okay, Kenya. Hi, how are you? Hello, Amazing Grace Ministry from Kenya. Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome from Kenya. Um, oh, good. I can pin a message. Wait. Undo. What else am I was trying to pin. Sorry, guys. Huh. Okay. I guess I can't pin. Anyway, hi, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our live. Um, hi. Oh, it's your birthday. Happy birthday. How are you? My birthday was on Monday. So happy birthday, Little Junior 7. Happy birthday. So wanted to do a quick chat with you guys, answer questions, see who is thinking about relocating. Let me know where you're watching me from. Answer as many questions as I can. I was at a conference in Paris. I'm still in Paris, as a matter of fact, but I was at a conference in Paris called Back to Africa Conference by Philippe Simon, who is a YouTuber in very well known in French Africa. Um, and it was incredible seeing so many people that are wanting to move back to the continent and invest on the continent. So it was great to be on stage. He hosted it at Palais de Congrès, and it was absolutely incredible. I don't know if I'm able to even share. Am I able to share stuff on here? No, let's see. I would have shared. I don't think I'm able to. But I shared some pictures, but it looks like you can't do that on YouTube. Okay. So it was great. It was incredible. So many lessons, so many great things that happened during this weekend. And so wanted to just hop on live and check up on you guys, see how everybody's doing, check on who is thinking about relocating. So and what questions you may have. I got a message from somebody asking about business ideas that they could start in the Gambia. They are originally from the Gambia and they live in the UK, I believe, and they were there on vacation, and so they wanted to know like business ideas that they could start and things like that. So I was like, oh, okay, let me do a live. Let's talk business. Let's talk money. Let's talk investing on the continent. Shall we? Shall we? So what I told her is what I tell every single one of my clients, which is when it comes to business, it's always a great idea if we can build a business around something you already like. It's always a good idea if we can build a business around something that you already like, you are passionate about, and or you have some knowledge about. I know somebody, I know so many people that start businesses everywhere, all over the world. This is not just in Africa. And you know, the business closes and you ask yourself like, how come? I know somebody who started a restaurant business in the Gambia, great idea, great everything, and she ended up closing. And I believe she ended up closing because and she told me, right, she didn't have any prior knowledge. And it's very difficult to start a business in an area that you don't have any prior knowledge without mentorship. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult. So if you can build businesses that are around what you are knowledgeable. So if you're a teacher, for example, one of my YouTube video is actually a coaching session, a consultation session with a teacher who is thinking about starting, wanted to know what type of businesses she could start on the continent. And I told her school made 100%. It made so much sense for her because she's a teacher. So she already understands so much, and her chances of her business being successful is higher than if I started that business. Amazing Grace says she relocated from the US to Kenya in November. So you are coming on a year. How has that been for you, Amazing Grace Ministry? How has you coming up on your 1 year anniversary? How has that been? So to answer the question, there are so many businesses. So many businesses. I have a friend who was a pharmacist in the US and worked for actually I did a podcast interview of him of with him on my other YouTube channel. But he talks about his journey. He used to work for Walgreens in the US and opened up something similar in the Gambia. And although he had a lot of expertise because he used to work there, it was still very much challenging. So imagine if I or somebody else that has no background, no history, no knowledge of that business decided to start a business. So a lot of the time we dismiss what we're already good at and what we have prior knowledge to. Now, could you start a business without any prior knowledge? Absolutely. We started a security company with no prior knowledge, but that has proven challenging, right? Is it impossible? No, it's not impossible, but is it more challenging? Yes, it is, especially if you're not there, especially if you're not present. Because if at least you are present to, you can see the mistakes, you are there, right? But when you're not present to start a business that you have no knowledge about is quite something. Without anybody on the ground, that can be very challenging. What questions can I answer for you guys? If you're just joining, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let us know where you are joining from. Let us know where you're joining from. Welcome. And let me look at the questions that were sent earlier. Um, Somebody asked, what's the biggest mistake I think that somebody can make? I think that was actually one of the questions that were asked during when I was on stage this weekend. What's the biggest mistake somebody can make when they're relocating? I would say not knowing how they're gonna support themselves financially. Not knowing how they're gonna support themselves financially is a problem. And that's the number one reason why most people will return, will go back, right? Because financially they couldn't figure it out. So the finance is it's a big thing. I was on stage with people that relocated differently, right? So for the story, hi, Dr. Linda, how are you? For the little story, for us, I don't know that I would advise people to relocate the way we did. So it's interesting because well, when we relocated, my business was online. So from a financial perspective, my business was already online, so that made it a little bit easier, I would say. Um, but we also, oh, sorry, I was trying something else. What did I do? Oh, okay. I was trying something else. Okay. Uh, so we, and also we picked Gambia sight unseen. I'm gonna say that again. We picked Gambia, like paid we paid the rent because in Africa, for a lot of countries, you have to pay a year in advance. We paid a year in advance, and we had never gone to the country. By the time we set foot in Gambia, we were moving. So we went to Gambia in January, and we moved the family to Gambia in March. We went in Gambia in January to take the keys to the house. And we moved in March. And I had not. Linda is like, "Are you kidding me? We had never visited Gambia." But my husband and I are a bit, and that would I advise now, as people that consult and help people relocate and whatever, is that my advice now? Okay, is that my advice? No, we did a lot of YouTube. We watched a lot of YouTube videos. We were on YouTube. We were on lives like this one on a daily basis. I mean, any YouTuber in the Gambia we watch. Um, yeah, sorry, I was reading the comment. Yeah, we watch every single video you can think of. We watched, so we knew visually what it looked like. Yeah, we knew visually what it looked like, and also we knew that for me, I knew that there was no place. How do I say this? Okay, can we talk? Can I be real? I knew that there was no place. I knew that if I was looking for something that was developed and had big roads and huge mall, I was already in America. Like I was already where those things were available to me. So I knew also that that didn't really matter to me. That what mattered, because let's be real, even if I visited before, because I thought too was like, even if we visit before, what can you know about a place by visiting it for a week? So many people are like, "Oh, I've gone to Jamaica." Have you gone to Jamaica? You went for a week, you were at a resort. Like, can you really know a place by spending a week or 2 weeks in the place anyway? That was our thought process, right? Like, it was like, we need answers to what's important. How is it secure? How is the medical system? How is the school system? How quickly can we be out of the country if we need to be in the US? Like, these type of logistic versus how pretty is the place, how clean is the beach. Like, we didn't care about that. We didn't care about what it looked like. Like, we didn't that didn't matter because we were already in a place that looked good but had challenges. So we were not faced by that, which is why, and we had traveled quite a lot on the continent. So we kind of knew. I was like, listen, if it's better than my village, and if it's better than my village, I'm gonna be all right. Was kind of my mindset. Would I advise that to everybody and anybody? No. We also knew a few people on. We also knew a few trusted people um, in the Gambia that we could ask these questions to, and we trusted that they could answer. And we also had a comparison because we are from Cameroon originally, so it was like, is it gonna be better or worse than Cameroon? And so we had real I think people want to compare sometimes Africa to abroad, like they're like, oh, how does it compare to the US? I think the better question is like, okay, how is Gambia compared to Nigeria? How is Gambia compared to Senegal? How is Gambia, like, we got to change the lens that we use to even compare to get answers. All right, okay, so now, um let me look at the questions. Yes, I had never visited, Dr. Linda. Mohammed said, but is that serious in Gambia that some diasporan in Gambia charge people consultation to repatriate? What are my thoughts on that? That people charge people to repatriate. Meaning, like, you mean consultation fees, right? Is what I'm thinking that you're asking or you're saying, Mohammed. Um, I would have paid. Like, I would have paid. And I'm not, it depends on what they're offering, right? Because I think at the end of the day, too, you can charge whatever you want, but is the market willing to pay? And I also think it's like how they say the beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I think that it's really in the eye of the beholder, because if you are seriously thinking about picking up your whole life to go to a country, it's going to cost you what it's going to cost you. You are giving up everything you're giving up. Some people are willing to spend thousands of dollars with somebody to make sure that they're making the right move, to make sure. And I don't know what this person or the people are charged, what are they charging for? But I would have paid thousands of dollars to talk to somebody on the ground to just answer questions like, how do I deal with the internet? Like, my business is fully online. What would you advise me to do before I come? What should I buy before I come? Like, I would have paid that. Oh, can you put me in contact with three doctors? Thousands of dollars. That's priceless, right? It for me. That's for me, but it's different for everybody. So I think it really depends on what it is that people value. People spend thousands of dollars on shoes that hurt. Thousands. People spend thousands of dollars getting their hair braided. So I think it really depends on what people value. My Irish tolerance is higher. I did, and if it's so funny, Dr. Lina, if because if you ask me, like if you're saying, describe yourself, I'm like, oh, I don't like taking risks. Will be my answer. I don't necessarily see myself as a risk taker, but I've had to accept that like most people won't just pay a year worth of pay for 1 year of a rent of a place that you've. I mean, we saw pictures, but we had a friend go and visit, but of a place that you've never. One thing that was funny is that like when we came, we finally got to the house. We got to the house. It was late at night, so we just went to sleep. Um, and when we woke up, we were shocked that the house was facing the water. Like, the house was ocean front. We didn't know because the picture that she had sent were just pictures of the house. I'm like, you didn't think to add that I can see the water? And so we were shook it. So it was a positive. It could have been bad, but it was quite a positive surprise for us to see. I agree. I mean, Grace, I think so. I think people should visit. I agree. I think people should absolutely visit the continent and visit more than their country. Like before I visited, I thought everywhere in Africa was like Cameroon. To my shock, when I realized that most places are actually not like my home country, I was surprised. I was surprised. So yes, I agree with you that we should definitely visit. We don't visit the continent as much as we should. And it's also that it's difficult to visit the continent. Like, they make it very challenging. For me to go from Gambia, it's so funny. My sister was planning on coming to visit me in Gambia for my birthday. That was the initial plan, but then I had this conference, so they had to change the plans. And so it was cheaper for her to come from Cameroon, go to Paris, and fly from Paris to Gambia. Can you believe that? It was cheaper. Let me say that again. It was cheaper for my sister who lives in Cameroon to fly from Cameroon to Paris and then Paris to Gambia than to fly from Cameroon to Gambia. Cheaper by far, almost half, if not even a quarter. She ended up paying like a quarter of what she would have paid. Can you imagine? It's crazy. I think that's part of the reason. And then all the visa restrictions and things. And it just is very difficult within the continent to travel. But if that could be fixed, I think we'll be so surprised. I think somebody asked me about Rwanda. I've never been to Rwanda. My brother lives in Rwanda, um, and likes it, but I've never been. You need, oh, that was a point that was brought up during the conference, Grace, is that you need trusted local connection. Listen, nothing happens until, like, listen, if you're gonna survive on the continent, who you know, because listen, I can't even tell you, like, who you know, the call you can, like, who you know is everything on the continent, everything. And it's not difficult to actually make connections. Your who you know, who you can call. It's so funny. Philip was giving the story of how he was driving that point. So the conference I was on in this weekend, he was driving the point home that one time he was running behind and they held the plane for him. and he was talking about how like it's literally who you know. It changes everything. And like I said, I love that about being on the continent is that you can make one phone call and things change and things move on your behalf. So making connection and going back to the point of should you pay for consultants? I'm like, uh, who else do you have if it's not your connections, especially if you're not moving to your country? Like, would I pay a consultant to move back to my country? Maybe not, right? Because I can just call my dad, my sister, my cousin. So I'm good. But when you are moving to a place that's not your country, what do you do? So who you know really matters. Really key, really important. And like finding the right places. Like sometimes even people will pick schools for their kids just so that they can do connections or country club just so that you can meet the right type of people or an expensive gym just so like where you do your nails and your hair. Just being intentional. Those things go a long way. Meeting the right people. And you don't need 1,000 people, but having the right group of friends, like-minded people, really matters. Really, really matters. The kids visited. My oldest did in 2000 and was it 15? They did. The oldest and the middle one. The youngest wasn't born yet, so it must have been 2014. They visited. They did. They haven't been back since though. They did, Dr. Linda. I want the kids to visit more countries too in Africa. So far they've gone to Dakar, they went to Cameroon, Gambia obviously, but that's about it. But I want them to visit more. When we went to Dakar, compared to from we drove, the kids was like, my middle one was like, wait, they have KFC? Wait a minute. They were so excited. They were so impressed and excited, and they loved it. It was so cool to kind of show them different facets, right? That hey, again, my point earlier that Africa is not just one thing. It's so different, and it was cool. It was cool seeing them flex their little French. Hi, Yodit from the UK. How are you? Welcome to the live. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the live. Thank you for watching, guys. Give it thumbs up, hearts, all that stuff. Apparently, it like boosts the video up or something. It does something. So why Gambia and not Cameroon for you and your family? Good question. Um, why Gambia? Well, I would say that Cameroon has its challenges, especially around security was a big thing for me. It would have been easier to relocate to Cameroon because my family is there, so that would have been the right. Like that's I think that's the thing about our story too that always gets us stopped. Like people really like, wait, why? Um, so yes, Cameroon has its challenges, and I didn't want to deal with the challenges. We might end up there, right? Like it's home. Cameroon is home. We can always, but I it would have taken longer if we needed to. It would have been a bigger decision for me if I needed to relocate to Cameroon, and mainly because of security. I didn't want to have to worry about. I was already relocating because I wanted to make sure my kids were somewhere where I didn't have to worry about them and their safety. So I didn't want to relocate to a place where I'm worried about them and their safety. So that's really the primary reason. But relocating to Cameroon would have been the easiest move, completely, completely the easiest move. But that's why. That's why. And I know that there are a lot of people that want to relocate and they're in that situation too, where they feel like, I even know people that feel like if they're going to go to Africa, they have to go to their country. Like I've had people who say, Sandra, we would love to visit you guys, but we have to go to Cameroon. I'm like, if you got to go to Cameroon, it's easier for you to go to Cameroon from America. To my point earlier, it's easier for you to just go straight. Like it's not what you think. It's not like, oh, you just in Gambia and boom, you're in Cameroon. Like it's almost 8 hours. flight. Somebody, so like it's almost an eight, depending if you have a layover and stuff and what airline you take. So a lot of people feel like if they're gonna relocate, they need to relocate to their country, and I'm like, why do you feel that? You don't have to. You don't owe that. Like you don't. Like first of all, I'm really very much of the belief that we need to really. I see Africa as one. Like I feel like I'm a daughter of the soil, and so wherever I am on the continent, I'm home. That's my core belief. Wherever I am on the continent, I'm home. I'm a daughter of the soil, no matter where I am on the continent, it's home. So that's my core belief about that. Um, so yeah, I feel very welcomed and at home in the Gambia. And will we eventually maybe move? Maybe, maybe. Um, Dr. Linda said, same reason we are not picking Cameroon in spite of family support. Yeah. And also even I think that it may have been easier for us in some ways, if I'm going to keep it real, to move to a place that was neutral. Because I think that a lot of the time, if we want to be real, we are given a plan to leave, like a exit plan out of Africa, but we don't really always have a return plan. I know maybe some countries, I think Nigerians are a little bit better at that, where it's like you go and there's a plan for you to come back, right? But I think that from my experience from talking to people, um, there was never really a conversation around go and spend 4 years and I'm expecting you back, or spend 6 years, I'm expecting you back, or here's how you come back, here are the conditions. It wasn't said that we want you to go and stay, but there wasn't really a conversation around here's when you know that it's time for you to return. And I think a lot of us are paving our own path, because a lot of the people that returned before us returned because they had to. Either they didn't have papers, they were kicked out, or they're dying. Right? Like it's like, oh, mommy is dying, oh, let's buy her a ticket home. And so we treat Africa like it's a graveyard. And so I was gonna say that you have even people, I've had people tell me that I have somebody that said that she went to Cameroon, um, saved her money, went to Cameroon with her husband and her kids, and the family was like, man, it was Christmas time. They were like, man, you would have just stayed in the UK and sent us the money. Oh, now that you are here, you're gonna give us money for Christmas. Let me break that down again slowly. They said to her, man, you would have been better off if you just stayed. Would have been better off if you just stayed in the UK and sent us money. And so the truth is that the uncomfortable truth is that a lot of people stay because either they feel like returning looks like things didn't work out, so you came back. So it's like a downgrade, or like it didn't come from the hearts and stuff. It looks like I might be onto something, right? Like it's like where even when people talk about us, where what happened now? Like when we're not in the room, people talk about us. It's like something must have gone wrong. That's why we moved. Not something went really well, and you accomplished what it is that you set yourself to accomplish, and you've returned. We talk about it in sense of like where what went wrong, where what didn't work. I shall, right? And so there's that thing of like not wanting to make it look like our parents sacrificed, they wasted time. So it's like, he sent me to go to school. Now I'm returning to Africa to do what kind of thing? Or we feel like we need to have built this big house, build a house for our parents, paid back everything people invested in us before we can return. But are we really, if we're going to have a real conversation, deep down, do we really feel like people are waiting for us with open arm and gonna do a party and celebrate us and support us, and not expect that we are bringing millions of dollars and are gonna be like, listen, I know you are coming back and you are starting over. Don't you worry. You can stay here for a year. Don't you worry. We're gonna take care of food for you and your family. Is there a welcome path for us? Or is it more of a thing where, and again, it's not being talked about, but like, are you getting phone calls from people saying, hey, when are you coming back? And I think these are the things that when we hesitate so much to return, we need to have real conversations. So when we're talking about, oh, I got to return to my country, I'm like, that's nice. Do you really have the support? Because a lot of the time, again, these are not things that are being said out loud, but these are sometimes that's pressure that's not being talked about. Where you feel like, if I come back and I was sending $10,000 a year, I better be sending $10,000. I better be able to continue setting up the that can be challenging. That can be challenging. Let me know, guys. Has that been your experience? Am I off? Am I off here? I've been in France. Can I tell you all the truth? It is cold. I'm sitting here like it is cold. They love taking the train and the metro. I'm like, this is not fun. It is so cold. Like I miss home. I miss somebody asking me what I'm going to eat today. Yeah. Um, what questions? What questions can I answer for you guys? And we have some fun videos coming. I did one at the supermarket. We got some fun ones. Some fun videos coming your way. It was hot that day. Yo, I was gonna go to the market. We had to abort. It was too hot. So we'll see. And to be honest, guys, I don't go to the market on a regular basis in Gambia anyway. So if I go, I'm gonna have to go with one of my staff because I don't go. I think I've gone to the market 3 or 4 times in the past 4 years that I've been in Gambia. So I was like, I don't want to do no video acting like I come to this market all the time when and I don't. So we got to figure out how to do the market video because I don't go. I've realized too that like usually my rates are higher because they call me a tubab. Um, so my rates are higher, but still like I don't necessarily want to go to the market, so I don't go. But I know it'll be a nice video for you guys. You know what's funny, Dr. Linda? That's such a good question. Um, I need to really look at the African market seriously because at the conference I was at, the moderator, the lady that moderated my panel, she's a brand strategist, right? She helps people with their personal brand. And she has clients in Guinea, Togo, all these places that fly her from Paris there and pay her proper money. I was like, I've been sleeping on the continent. I've been sleeping. So we are very much gearing. I mean, we are set that we can take clients anywhere, anywhere. Our clients are everywhere, anywhere. But I've not seriously. I'm open to the opportunities, but it needs to be. The challenges on the continent are unique, not unique, but like I will need to expand my niche. Let me put it that way, right? Like my clients right now, I help them build coaching businesses and become like better leaders and better CEOs and that kind of thing. But I think on the continent, what's needed and the space that we can really play big at is when it comes to almost human resource, training staff is really a space that I do really well in. We just haven't tapped into it, but I think on the African on the continent, that's a place that like leadership coaching is a place that will do really well in, and even just like automation and system, more of the things that I used to do when I was a business analyst. That kind of stuff I think will do really well on the continent. So, but yeah, we are definitely open and it's case by case. We do consulting now anyway, so that's more consulting. Um, we do that, but yes, that's definitely something that I'm open to. My whole team. So I have a team of 7, and they're all on the continent. All on the continent. They do. I mean, they're amazing. There's not a week that goes by that my clients don't talk about how incredible my team is, and they're all in Nigeria, and they build. So when we are talking about the potentials for those of you that want to start businesses on the continent, please understand. I think Gary Vee just posted a video. He was like, "Africa is not the future. Africa is now." Right? That in the next 10 years, we're gonna have the biggest youth population in the world. That we are it. We are that continent, and you can see it. Like if you look at the type of people that are investing on the continent, you can see it. The only people that don't know it is us. Okay, but the world. Ouais, au revoir. Je fais une petite live. Bisous. Over. Um, so no, Africa is where it's at. There's the talent, there's the workforce is there, it's all the things, but it's training your people how to think globally, right? That's the part. And we know this, like for those of us that went to school on the continent and then travel abroad, we know that we had to change our mindset. We had to go from, I think that the way that school is in Cameroon, in my experience, we were taught to listen to the teacher and repeat what the teacher said. Like there was no, we weren't, I wasn't trained to be no leader. They didn't want to hear that. Like you will get a whooping. I used to get a whooping. Like you will get a whooping for the things that when I went to America, they will praise me. I went from being a C student to an A student in 6 months. Because in America, for them, they're like, I don't want you to repeat just what do you think? I'm like, wait, what do I like? You want to know what I think? Oh, wait, hold on. Right. So it's such a different way of thinking about things. And I think that for Africa to compete, not just to be a workforce, but to lead, we need to learn leadership. And so what I've been able to do with my team is really like reframing that so that because we speak a different, yes, we might all speak English, right? But there's a way that as African, the way that the educational system teaches us to think is one way. And it's almost like the people abroad, in America abroad, think differently. It's like they speak another language. And I think where, not I think, I know where our superpower is as a company is being the translator. And that's going to need translation. This happened even when America was outsourcing a lot of their project to India. They needed translators, like if you're in IT, they needed translators, right? Because just the way the Indians thought and did things and the way they needed that translation. And I really see that there's going to be that huge gap. Um, I see that all the time. I'll give you an example. We had a company that we're consulting with, and it was American-based company making millions of dollars, and they needed a customer service. Uh, we basically handle the training and the hiring and all that stuff of their customer service center. We built out a customer service center for them in Nigeria because trying to do that in America was going to cost them like 15, $20,000, right? And so let me give you a silly example. When the customer reps in Nigeria would respond to inquiries, they will say, good morning, ma, right? MA. And the American clients were like, you are calling me ma, like I'm old. And the Nigerian staff were like, that's a form of respect. I'm just giving you one silly example, right? To talk about even the question earlier around like, why should you pay a consultant to relocate? You're not paying a consultant to relocate, you are paying a translator. Okay? You are paying for a translator that can save you money. And for this client, one lead was worth $3,500. So piecing off, it's not like, oh, it's a cute little, it's okay if you are piecing off these clients. No, 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 no. That's thousands of dollars. So even being able to be the translator and explain to the Nigerian team, like, you can't say ma, and here's the reason, and retrain them because for them it's such a form of respect became key and critical. So sorry guys, we got interrupted, but I'm back. Okay. All right. So that was a long answer to your question, Dr. Linda. But yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. We are positioned, I believe, to do that. We are back. We are back. We are back. What else can I answer? What else can I answer? Let me tell you something though. One pro of being abroad is good Wi-Fi. No power outage, excellent Wi-Fi. So good. I've been I've been enjoying it. That's a plus. Can't even lie. What other? Let me see. I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions from you guys. I would say too, guys. One of the things that come up a lot for its parents after that conference. So many moms, so many dads came to me and they were worried about the kids. Child, they were worried about the kids. People are so worried about the kids. People are so worried, and I'm like, there should be the list. When I say list, there should be on your list of things to worry about. Your kids should be. I mean, as a parent, of course, as a parent, we worry about our kids. But I'm telling you that from 0 to 10, in terms of who is going to adapt faster, your kids are going to adapt faster than you are. Like, kids adapt so quickly, so fast. And I find that we sometimes, I don't know if you guys have ever been with somebody who is like, oh, I would have been a doctor, but I had kids early. Or I would have been this. And you're like, bro, you were not, you're like, bro, you're using these kids. Or like how I say, oh, I would have had a six pack, but I had 3 kids. Girl, you didn't have a six pack before you had the kids. So I think that we put such an emphasis on the kids when in reality, if you know that you're doing what's better for the kids, they're going to adjust and they're going to adapt. I have never heard of anyone that returned back after moving because of the kids. It's typically for other reasons, like we ran out of money, blah, blah, blah. But it is rarely because of the kids because kids will really adapt. Thank you, Dr. Lina. Like that make friends. My son was making friends in a minute. Like these kids will make friends with, when my kids went to Cameroon, they don't speak French. Somehow they were communicating. I'm like, how do you even get, how, they were playing, they were having a good time. Kids will adjust. So please stop worrying about the kids. Kids, worry about you. How you gonna do? I'm like, I'm more concerned about you because it's the parents, it's the adults that have a hard time. These kids are fine and they will follow your lead. I really was very much aware that like if we made things a big deal, the kids would make things a big deal. So if we were like, oh my gosh, they cut off the power, the kids would make it a big deal. So we had to work on ourselves. We had to work on ourselves. We had to be sold. Period. We had to be sold as much as we were sold about America. We had to be sold about Africa. That's it. Because if we were sold, honey, you're gonna go with this flow. You're gonna go with the flow. Period. And I think as parents, we are funny too because for the people that grew up in English Cameroon and went to boarding school, what are we talking about? At 10, 9 and a half, 10 years old, I never went to boarding school, but like my husband did and his friends did. So I'm like, this has to be better than boarding school, is what I tell my boys. I'm like, listen, look at this as boarding school. This must be the best boarding school you ever gonna attend. So please, you're gonna be all right. Like you're gonna be all right. If this is the worst thing that happened to you, is that you relocated to a place where it's good weather 90% of the time, where you are safe, where what are we talking about? You eating organic food, you got a driver, you child, please. If that's the worst thing that happened to you in your childhood, all right, well, I'll take it. I'll take it. It's all right. So I think it's more the parent that has to be convinced. You have to know that or you have to feel that you're doing the right thing for your kids. Your kids are not going to be ruined because you took them home to know who they are. Like what? They're not. They're not. I think sometimes we also the way, and again it's the way we see home. A lot of the time, guys, the what we tell kids is, oh, if you behave badly, because that's another thing, another way we look at Africa is a place that you send your children when they're bad. Or if you behave badly, I will send you to Africa. So then the kids already also have a very bad view of the continent and they don't want to go. So we also have to be careful of how we talk about the continent. Because now you want them to move to this place that you hate. Their whole childhood you've dogged the place. So you then have to be aware, right? You then have to be aware that like they're not gonna jump for joy. See, Sase in the 90s, they're gonna be all right. Cause when y'all went through cold water, waking up at 4, I was like, that's the army. Y'all were in the army. Sometimes when my husband tells me about what he went through, I was like, that's child abuse. That's child endangerment. I have a lot of names for what all of this. And we all turned out fine. We all turned out all right. So I think we all overly like my dad said. We. Shit, it's like y'all just baby these. Like they're gonna be fine. I didn't know kids that live in Africa. That's what. Listen, I'm like, what makes you so special? I didn't know humans that live there. Who are you that you cannot adjust? You gonna be all right, eh? When you have your kids, you get to decide where you all gonna live. It's all right. You're gonna get a turn, God willing. Hmm. You're gonna get a turn. So the kids are fine. If that's a concern, there are other things that you should be concerned about, but like your kids are gonna be all right. They're gonna make friends. They're gonna help you make friends, and all that stuff. Guys, please give it a thumbs up, hearts, all the things. This helps. It helps somehow. I don't know how, but it helps. It helps somehow. Also, even when it comes to healthcare, my husband and I we've been talking about really bringing healthcare professionals to talk about healthcare. It's so funny. My sister actually is a cardiologist, the one that just walked in, and she's a cardiologist in Cameroon, so she could talk about it, but she speaks French and she doesn't like the camera, so I don't know if I can get her to come out here and talk about healthcare. Nani, do you guys have questions about healthcare? Let me not bug her if y'all don't have questions. What questions do you guys have about healthcare? She's practicing. She practices. Oh, Nani, tu as dit que les gens partaient, non? Hein? Oh, les gens sur la live ont la question. Non, 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 une petite question par rapport à healthcare. Ah, we have two doctors in the. Oh, we got two doctors in. Oh, we have three doctors in the building. Oh my gosh. Okay, we can talk about it. All right. Oh, we have a surgeon. We have a cardiologist. Ah, elle, c'est quoi? Les oreilles. Comment on dit ça en anglais? A ear doctor. I don't know the name. Y'all let me know what the name is. Okay. Ear, nose, and throat. Ear, nose, and throat in the building. Okay, okay, okay. So we have three doctors. We got three doctors here in this room. All in Cameroon, right? All practicing. Ah, we have somebody in. Oh, we have a practicing French medical doctor, the surgeon. Mais attends, doctor. Net. Qui est? Mais j'ai des problèmes, tu ne me dis pas comme ça, on me consulte. Eh, il fallait me dire, non, je vais donner le thé, non, même l'eau chaude. Okay, so, okay, good. So, people are asking, les gens veulent savoir, les gens veulent rentrer, soit des États-Unis, de la France, tout ça là. Mais ils ont peur, côté médical. Comment ça se passe? Ok, ils rentrent, quelqu'un est malade, comment ça se passe?
Mais en tout cas, le plateau technique n'est pas comme aux États-Unis.
Mhm.
Non, mais il y a de bons médecins. Il y a de bons médecins.
Okay.
Et il y a de bonnes. Dans tous les domaines. Il y a de très bons
So,
médecins.
so,
En tout cas,
so,
voilà, il y a quoi?
huh.
On a les cliniques.
So the recap. So this is specific Cameroonian doctors giving
Malheureusement, les gens se soignent.
feedback, and they're saying that there are millions of people living on the continent, and these millions of people are getting care on the continent, right? Yes, you may not be able to compare the medicine in America to the medicine in Cameroon, but however, your
Encore même qu'on peut même dire que vous pouvez mieux.
one of the doctors is saying that can you not compare, right? Because some of the news we hear about what's going on in America, you may be able to compare. So anyway, what they're saying is that should not be your concern. There are really great doctors on the continent, really good clinics on the continent. Now, here's the question. Voilà une question. Oh, we have a surgeon here. Oh, into weapon. We have a surgeon, so let me ask. Tu as le choix. On te tire dessus, hmm, au cerveau. Il y a la balle dans ton cerveau. Tes chances sont meilleures où? En France ou au Cameroun?
En France, parce qu'ils ont plus habitué. Ils ont pris. Ils ont le plateau technique qui va avec.
So,
Mais, toi, le palu, si tu meurs, tu t'en sors comme
okay, so I asked them that if you get shot in the head, okay, I asked the surgeon, where should we do your surgery, Cameroon or in France? They all said obviously in France because they have the equipment, right, and they are more used to those type of cases. However, another doctor mentioned that if you have malaria, you want to have malaria in Cameroon or in Africa because again they see more of those cases. So they don't feel like you should be staying abroad because of medical care. Maintenant, parlons des gens âgés, vos parents, tout ça qui sont là-bas. Tous les jours, on entend que, oh, papa est mort parce que il avait un petit problème, le médecin, machin, il allait à la clinique, il n'y avait pas tel. C'est ce qu'on entend. Don't you guys hear about these bad stories, guys?
Une histoire, vous parlez mal. Tout ce qu'on soigne, vous parlez comme vous entend faire. Mais il faut aussi dire que la gériatrie n'est pas très bien développée. Tu parles de gériatrie, oh, il y a 100 personnes qu'on soigne. 98 s'en sortent. Les deux qui meurent là, on va faire ça de façon exponentielle, comme s'il y a 98 personnes qui sont mortes et deux personnes ont survécu. C'est pas vrai. Il y a un tout un coup. Ça dépend de la personne âgée là. D'abord, le truc de ici même aussi, il y a des dessins. Hein. Le dessin de prise en charge, c'est ça. Et il faut avoir aussi chez nous, les parents n'aiment pas aller directement à l'hôpital.
So okay, a lot of valid points because I asked now about. C'est tard. Okay, so they're making valid points, right? Because I asked them, I said, okay, you guys are saying how medical, this thing is good.
Souvent, ça. Tu as vu la grand-mère de Sarah? La grand-mère de Sarah, elle a trouvé un truc. On est pas de favoriser le naturel, le traditionnel.
Okay. Let me update. I'll be back. Let me update you guys on what the doctors are saying. So the doctors are saying that there are a few elements. Okay. Number one, propaganda. Okay, that they might have 100 patients and 98 are treated well is the two that we hear that go worldwide. Number one. Number two, there's a cultural element, and the cultural element here is that, and I can vouch for that too, that a lot of we're talking about here the older people, our older parents, that you hear all these stories, oh, he almost died at the hospital, this and that. They're saying that a lot of the time the older parents don't even want to go to the hospital, right? And I can think of my father, who is a medical doctor, that doesn't do checkup. Like, he doesn't do checkup, right? So they're saying that, hey, a lot of time they don't want to go do checkups. By the time they get to the hospital, the thing is far. By the time you tell them what to do, some will take, some will not take, some will say it's witchcraft. So there's a lot of other things that they deal with on the ground that in France they don't have to deal with it. But as a whole, to say that you are not relocating because you are worried about a medical system is, to them, again, they're doctors, two of them practice in Cameroon. Is the surgeon practices here, and for them, they will not have any problem. Well, let me not say that. Let me ask, do they have any problem returning? Well, two of them live there. Two of them live there, so I guess I can come back and sit. They don't have any problem living in Cameroon and getting treated in Cameroon, and their children getting treated there as well. Dr. Linda asked about malaria, comment se protéger les premiers mois? Oh, good question. Let me ask. Let me ask. And if you guys have any other question, this is was not planned, but to have three doctors high level here to answer some of these medical questions, please feel free to ask. Une question. Oh, vous partez? Ok. Comment les docteurs partent? On fait comment? Ok, la question qu'ils ont demandé, c'est... Le docteur, c'est trop strict. Elle est trop, non, elle est trop stricte. Elle est trop stricte. Elle a fait les gens vont quitter de mon live. Par rapport au palu, comment se protéger les premiers mois?
C'est l'exposition.
Oui, qui vient de l'étranger.
L'exposition, c'est tout. Hein. Éviter de sortir non couvert après 18 heures. Éviter les flaques d'eau autour de la maison. Monter les trucs longues manches. Les moustiquaires, dormir avec les moustiquaires. Les insecticides dans les maisons. Il y a aussi les trucs, les sprays anti-moustiques.
Ok.
Ça, c'est bien.
Et les médicaments, non?
Et il y a la prévention. Ceux qui ne sont pas, qui vivent avant le voyage, pendant et après.
Okay, so okay, guys, okay. So there's okay, so there are medications that you can take pre, during, and after the trip, and do all of the prevention stuff, right? Like anti-mosquito bug stuff, avoiding water on property, covering yourself from mosquitoes, mosquito bites, a lot of those things that you can do as well. Again, having malaria, beaucoup de gens meurent encore du palu en Afrique.
Oui.
Ah bon?
Ça reste pour moi l'une des principales causes de décès.
Ah bon? Hey!
Chez les enfants. Ah non, c'est pas ça. Voilà que la
Oh, so apparently people still die of malaria, oh, especially children. So take it seriously. Do your treatment. Ah, take it seriously. Ah, ouais. So guys, yeah, it's a good question, eh? It's a good question, guys. Apparently people still very much. That's like one of the leading causes of death on the continent right now is still malaria, but it's preventable based on what they've shared. So good question. I didn't know that. I didn't know. So again, connection. Before you move somewhere, who are the good doctors? You're not gonna find it on Yelp. You're not gonna find it on Yelp. You gotta talk to people, right? Who are they using? Where are the reputable hospitals? All that kind of stuff. Very important. Very, very critical. Exactly. Thank you, a word for today. It really is. And much cheaper than what they sell it for in America. My lord. I think they sell it for like $300, malaria medication. So get somebody to like send it your way. Because the price is ridiculous. If you have more medical questions, the other doctors are going, but my sister is still here. So she's a cardiologist. She will answer. She will answer. I have my son who had an abscess on his ear, and we called a doctor friend of ours, and he came home, performed what he needed to perform, gave him antibiotics, has been visiting for the past 3 days, checking on the wound. Like, we don't talk about that, right? We all hear, oh, the word, yeah, people are dying, yes, but we don't talk about also what having having a little bit of money and good connections and good people could do for you. My mom, we moved with my mom too, who is older. So she goes back probably once or twice a year and does her checkup in America all the time. She does her checkups and make sure all the things. What other questions? I didn't know we had all these doctors. Apparently, right now there were three, but there were two additional people that were here, so we had five doctors in the house. I didn't know. Y'all made me find out. I was like, wait, I had no clue. What other questions? Mama, here. Doc?
On a fini à quelle heure? Pourquoi tu ris?
Pourquoi?
Non, non, non.
Ah, tu veux que je rapporte? Ok, ok, bientôt. Okay, guys, let me see. Let me make sure that I didn't miss anything. Otherwise, we're gonna wrap it up. If you're just joining, welcome, guys. We've been chatting all things relocating. We've talked medical care, kids adapting, businesses, opportunities on the continent, um, all the things, all the things. My son just did the SAT. Just did the SAT uh 2 weekends ago. I didn't even know that you could do the SAT on the continent, guys. The things we are finding out because we homeschool, so I didn't even realize until I did the research. I was like, oh, there are SAT centers all over the continent. What mistake have you seen people make when they move back? Um, to be very honest with you, I think the number one mistake people make for me that I've seen is not moving. Like there's so many conversations I have, guys, everywhere we go. Everywhere we go. The conversations is around, oh my gosh, je vais déménager, hein. I'll follow you guys. I'll follow like it is a when I say if I had a penny for every time I hear it, I'll be a multi-billion. Just call me. Yes, I'll be a multi-billionaire. I think the mistake is people overthink it. People think about it too long. People overthink it. Even the people that can afford it, they wait too long. They wait too long. And there's something about waiting. There's something about knowing too much. I actually think part of the thing that was helpful for us is that we didn't know everything. We didn't have everything. It's like having kids. I know some people that say, "Oh, I'm still saving to have kids." I'm like, you gonna save $1 million, right? There's a thing about just like, yes, you should prepare. Yes, you should research, but there's also a thing about being over prepared and knowing too much. That I don't think is helpful. So I think people overly sitting on the idea. I'm like, do something. Either because your biggest expense is going to be your lodging. So figure out your lodging. If you're waiting because you are building your house, build your house. If you're waiting because you are wanting to pay your 1 2 year worth of rent, do that. But to just research to research and keep researching and researching, I think that it's information paralysis. I tell that to my clients, my business clients all the time. Oh, I've read all the books. I've seen all the webinars. They could teach me how to run a business. and they've never even registered the business. So it's really asking yourself, am I really researching? And if you are researching, put a deadline to it. When are we moving? How long am I going to research? Put some dates around it. Becomes important because some things you won't know until you're on the ground. Period. Some things like you don't know how you're gonna react until like you think whatever you think, but when light goes out for 8 hours and you don't know when it's coming back, and you have a meeting or whatever the thing is, when the frustration. Okay, okay, all right. My son sent me a message. Um, there's some things that you won't know how you're gonna react to. Again, it's like parenting. You can read all the book, but there's that 4 a.m. time. Like by the time he's 6 months old and he's crying again at 4 a.m. and you're exhausted and you snap, I don't care how many books you read. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how many books you read. It is what it is, and I think there's a part to it. That's important. So there's that. Now, in terms of people that have actually moved, mistakes they've made is maybe not planning financially enough. Because when you run out of money, the dream ends there. So what are you going to do for money? And I will even say that I've seen people relocate that have worked abroad and they think that they're going to come and find a job on the continent. Um, I have not experienced, unless it's really like an international company, this, that, and the other. But I tell people, ideally, you want to relocate to create jobs. Ideally, unless it's something that you have ownership in, like, oh, you are moving back because your father had a company and you're coming and taking it over. But I think that if you're a banker in America and you want to come and work at a bank in in Africa, you've worked as a banker for 20 years, it's going to be very challenging. Oh, you're probably going to cry. If you're a medical doctor and you've been a medical doctor for 20 years and you want to come in and boom work at somebody's clinic, give yourself the grace to understand that it's like, again, different languages. So I think the transition can be even more challenging if you go day one. I was working at IBM and boom, I started working for this company this second week I moved. Ah, you will hate the place. Oh, you hate the place. You will hate the place because the shock is different. It's very different. It's not better or worse. It's different. So ideally figuring out your money so that you don't so that that pressure, there's already so many other things that you are dealing with, so that the financial pressure is not on your neck. Um, will be the biggest thing. If you got money, anything we can work out. Electricity, you can get a generator with a inverter. Mosquitoes, you can have a doctor on call, right? Medical issues, you can fly to America every 3 months and get your checkup. Heck, you can get a private jet. I mean, 90% of the worries, if you got money, you can solve it. 90% of the challenges. You might not be able to fix the road, right? That comes to your compound. Okay. You could. Enough money you can build, you could. But the money part, I think, is the biggest reason why people relocate back. Like move and move back will be my answer. Will be my answer to that. That's a good question. I have time for two more questions and then I'll wrap it up. We've been here an hour, y'all. This was fun. This was fun. I will also say, guys, that there's this notion that when you move, you are stuck somewhere. Like, in a sense, where a lot of the time when we travel, like I said, right now I'm in Paris, people will see me and they're like, "Ah, I thought you guys moved." And I'm like, there are planes. Like, you can still fly. I think that you get to determine what your relocation journey is going to look like. Again, it's like parenting. You get to determine, is it going to be a full move? Is it going to be like my kids get to spend the summer? We've been blessed that they're able to spend the summers in America. Every summer that we've moved, they've been able to do that. This year, we're thinking maybe Europe. We don't know yet. Um, but you get to determine how that's going to look like. It's gone are those days where you have to relocate and it means that you are stuck in somewhere in some country and you're missing all the birthdays and all the this and all the that. It doesn't have to be that. It actually doesn't have to be that. I think that we also have to like, because I think that's what scare people. They feel like, is this huge? I know a family that relocated. The mom is a pharmacist, and she didn't want to lose her license. So I think every 3 months she had a contract. I think they can do like those contract kind of thing. And so she will go every 3 months, work for 2 weeks, make her money, make a whole bunch of money, and come back. And that was it. That 4 times a year she goes pick up her Amazon packages, all the things, and she comes back. So it doesn't have to be one versus the other. You've earned your benefits in the country you currently are in. Don't go cut ties. Don't go and stop paying taxes. That's not what we're talking about. That's not what we're talking about at all. Right? So figure out how you can maintain, you can have your, so that you can have your social security benefits. You can have whatever the things are that you need to have, so your kids can go back to school there. Don't burn the bridges. Don't like that's not what I coach or teach. Let's not do that. Why would we do that? And it's like people want to make you feel like, so did you move? No, I didn't move. I'm there. I'm there. Okay. Right? So you get to figure out, or you even get to test the water. I know people who say, you know what, we'll take a year and go and see how it is. It's okay. Or it's like my husband I was saying that on stage, and I said, listen, it could almost also be like if the wife job, like in this example, maybe the wife is the pharmacist and therefore she can do her 1 week or whatever, or 2 weeks, and make whatever money she needs. She has more flexibility. It could be that she moves with the kids and dad goes back and forth. Maybe that's the framework, because I think we try to, it has to be perfect. It's rarely going to be perfect where everything aligns. If money is the biggest thing, somebody has to work, and maybe dad cannot move fully yet. Does it mean nobody moves? It doesn't have to mean that. So it's figuring out the right kind of strategy, the right flow for your family. Don't believe the hype, like the right setup. For us, my husband was doing a lot of back and forth because he worked in IT. He was doing a lot of back and forth, sometimes months in America while I was in Africa with the kids. So again, are we willing to make the sacrifices for the upgrade? Because moving back is not a downgrade. I said that on stage, it's an upgrade. For the upgrade in lifestyle you want, are we willing? What sacrifices are we willing to make? Our parents, grandparents used to uh, go study abroad back in the days, and there was no WhatsApp, no anything. And we didn't, sometimes families didn't even know if grandpa was still alive, because if he sent letters, sometimes they got lost. But mom held it down. And if you look at the most successful Cameroonians, a lot of them, they went to school in Germany, they went to school in France, they went to school. That was a sacrifice. So if you're really believing in that upgrade that you want by relocating, what sacrifices are we willing to make as a family so we can make this transition? Those are the tough questions. I say sometimes we want le beurre et l'argent du beurre, which means we want the butter and the money for the butter. And sometimes you can't have both when you're transitioning. What sacrifices are we willing to make becomes for the upgrade. What's your why? Right? For me, my why were my kids. My why were my kids. I was like, I refuse to have children who, when you ask them where they're from, they're ashamed to say that they're from the continent, or they're calling a place they've never really been in, or they don't feel like they have roots, or they don't know who they are. And so I was willing personally to do anything for that upgrade. And I also knew that I was running out of time, right? If it was just me, oh, I would have moved for retirement or whatever. Or maybe I would have never moved. But I also knew like my kids are going to be small for so long. I already have one that's about to graduate and go to college. So I would have missed that window. So for me, that was the urgency. So you got to figure out what's your why. And so when I put that in the balance of, oh, they cut off the light once in a while, or they cut off the water, or whatever, I don't care. Or it doesn't look pretty. Okay, all right. Right? Like it doesn't, none of that matter when I put that in the balance. So I tell my clients, I tell people all the time, it became easy when my why got clear. So all right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much for chatting with me and hanging out. I appreciate y'all. Have an amazing weekend, all the good things, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye, guys. Bye. Bye.